A taxi drove into a crowd of pedestrians near Moscow's Red Square on June 16, injuring 8 people, including 2 Mexicans. Football fans came to attend the World Cup in Russia. The taxi came to a halt after hitting a traffic sign. The driver, who is now in police custody, said that he did not ram into the crowd intentionally. The taxi that drove into a crowd of people in the Russian capital of Moscow was towed by police, following which the street was reopened. Authorities have installed heavy concrete blocks across the entrances to pedestrian areas following a spate of incidents across Europe in which vehicles were used to mow down people. At least 17 people died in a stampede at a nightclub in the Venezuelan capital of Caracas on June 16. The unfortunate incident happened when a person activated a tear gas grenade during a fight between a group of youth. The Prime Minister of Greece has survived a no-confidence motion in the parliament, setting the stage for the signing of a historic accord with neighbouring Macedonia to settle a 27-year-old long dispute. Greek police used tear gas and stun grenades to quell protesters, throwing stones and bottles outside the country's parliament in the capital city of Athens. Protests have erupted over a deal between Greece and neighbouring Macedonia over a controversial name issue. The Nicaraguan government and civic groups have agreed to halt all violence in a major step to end 2 months of political unrest, which has left more than 170 people dead and rocked the government of President Daniel Ortega. Civic leaders said they were satisfied with the agreement, which included setting up an international task force to investigate the killings during the protests. The emergency workers in Nicaragua tried to put out the fire on a house that was attacked by protesters, killing at least 8 people, including an infant. Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthi movement fought on to keep a Saudi-led coalition backing the exiled Yemeni government from taking full control of the airport in the port city of Hodeidah. Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani has said that he will extend a ceasefire with the Taliban. Ghani also urged the Taliban to extend its 3-day ceasefire. Over 25 Afghan security force personnel, Taliban members and civilians were being killed in a suicide attack in the eastern Nangarhar province. This while they were celebrating Eid together. A local wing of the Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the attack. Dozens of armed Taliban militants entered the Afghan city of Ghazni to celebrate an unprecedented ceasefire, marking the end of the Ramadan fasting season with Eid greetings, handshakes and big hugs. Soldiers and militants hanged each other and took selfies on their mobile phones in several cities across Afghanistan, including the capital, Kabul. At least 17 people were killed when a passenger bus crashed into a rock on a highway in Bolivia. An initial police report has said that the bus was moving at a high speed. Voters registered for the Turkish elections cast their ballots in a polling station in the Cyprus ahead of the country's presidential elections, which are due to take place on June 24th. Colombians are all set to vote in the second round of their country's presidential elections, which will take place today. The voting comes at a time when the country is set to sign a peace accord with the armed guerrilla group called the Revolution Armed Forces of Colombia. Indian nationals who hold advanced educational degrees may have to wait over 150 years to get green card, which authorizes them to live and work in the United States permanently, according to a Washington-based think tank. Pope Francis denounced abortion as the white glove equivalent of the Nazi-era eugenics program and urged families to accept the children that God gives them. Interestingly, the Pope is due to visit Ireland in August, just months after the country voted in favor of liberalizing its abortion laws. Austria has called on Germany to fully clarify allegations that German intelligence agents systematically spied on politicians, international organizations and companies on Austrian territory. Thousands of people marched in the Italian capital of Rome to show solidarity with the migrants after a 29-year-old migrant agricultural worker was shot dead in southern Italy earlier this month. The International Red Cross has set up an aid station in area, the Spanish port, which is due to receive over 600 migrants from Italy. The president of the International Humanitarian Organization's Doctors Without Borders Spanish Bureau called on Europe to change its migration policy while saying that the Mediterranean was the deadliest migratory corridor in the world. Spain agreed to receive over 600 migrants after Italy and Malta refused to take them. Over 125 fighters were deployed to tackle a massive fire at the Glasgow School of Art in Scotland as flames ravaged the building. The iconic Macintosh building was under renovation after a previous fire damaged it in the year 2014. The building was scheduled for reopening next year. An aerial video of the Glasgow School of Art building, which was engulfed in a fire, has been released. The architectural masterpiece was designed by Scottish architect Charles Macintosh in the year 1909. The building was named after its architect. Russia's defense ministry has released a video showing a test launch of the short-range Iskander ballistic missile. The video showed military vehicles launching the missile in a forested area, but the ministry did not specify the date or place of the launch. Heavy rainfall has resulted in a flash floods in Michigan and in the U.S. Roads and businesses remain closed in Michigan. Meanwhile, officials from the Med Department have issued a flood warning and have asked residents to take necessary precautions. Survivors of this year's deadly Florida high school shooting have kicked off a 75-stop bus tour in Chicago City in the United States. The survivors intend to register people to vote with the aim of building an electoral support to bring reforms in the U.S. gun laws. Oscar-winning Hollywood actress Angelina Jolie visited Mosul on the day of Eid ul-Fitr, which marks the end of the holy month of Ramadan. Jolie, who is a special envoy of the United Nations Refugee Agency, urged the international community to help the war-torn Iraqi, which was liberated from the Islamic State about a year ago. The Indian Met Department has said that the air quality in the capital of New Delhi, which worsened due to a dust storm, is likely to improve in the next 48 hours. Midnight drama ensued in India's national capital, where 4 chief ministers are backing another in his fight against the central government. Sparking the federalism debate, 4 state chief ministers came to meet the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. The Navy came to the rescue of merchant vessel SSL Kolkata, which caught fire last Wednesday in the Bay of Bengal. The Navy anchored the vessel to prevent it from drifting further. Floods triggered by incessant rains in India's northeastern region have submerged villages, washed away crops and destroyed roads, forcing people to move into relief camps. Hundreds of trucks remain stranded on the hill roads in India's northeastern state of Manipur after landslides triggered by heavy rains blocked a key route and affected the traffic movement in the region. The famous Gir Wildlife Sanctuary in the western Indian state of Gujarat, which is home to Asiatic lions, will be closed for 4 months during the resting period of the endangered animal. A river in the southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu has been polluted by illegal dyeing factories operated in the vicinity. Residents have now launched a campaign to save the river. British cyclist Mark WION has broken a 127-year-old English record for the longest distance cycled on a penny farthing, but the Scottish cyclist was unable to break the world record, which is 137-year-old. Last year, WION cycled around the world in 78 days, 14 hours and 40 minutes. Egypt forward Mohamed Salah might have had a forgettable 26th birthday as his team lost to Uruguay in their World Cup opener match, but a group of fans brought a smile to his face with a 100-kilogram cake decorated with a golden boot. Residents of a block of flats in the British capital of London have decked out their whole estate with more than 300 England flags to celebrate the World Cup. Football fans got a taste of history when they visited the bunker of former Soviet leader Joseph Stalin's bunker ahead of Serbia's match with Costa Rica. Workers have dismantled pasture fences in a nature reserve in China's Tibet Autonomous Region to protect the endangered Tibetan antelopes and other rare animals in the region. After the dismantling work, about 700 hectares of the meadow will become accessible to the animals. In an effort to protect the Tibetan antelopes and other rare animals, villagers were moved from their homes in northern Tibet. The local government launched their Grand Relocation Project earlier this month to move more than 1,000 of villagers. The 21st Shanghai Film Festival opened on June 17th. Movies from 10 countries will be competing for the prestigious Golden Goblet Award at the festival. Around 500 films will be screened during the 10-long-day festival, along with two of China's first 3D traditional operas. Several Hollywood stars, including Oscar-winning actor Nicolas Cage and Jason Statham, attended the Shanghai Film Festival in China. The oldest giant panda outside of Mexico celebrated its 31st birthday. The panda was born in a zoo in Mexico City. The dragon boat race, a traditional Chinese water sport, has gone global with more than 85 countries holding the race. More than 400 dragon boat teams have taken shape in the United States alone. The festival occurs on the 5th day of the 5th month of the traditional lunar calendar, which falls on June 18th this year. American news channel CNN will air all of its remaining episodes of late Anthony Bourdain's Parts Unknown and complete the show's 11th season. The network went ahead with its regularly scheduled edition of Parts Unknown 2 days after Bourdain's death, which included a special introduction by network anchor Addison Cooper. United States prosecutors have launched a probe to determine whether Hollywood actor Sylvester Stallone should be charged in connection with a sexual assault reported last year. The case involves a woman who alleged he assaulted her in the 1980s when she was a teenager. Lionel Messi missed a penalty as Argentina's World Cup campaign began with a 1-1 draw against tournament debutants Iceland. Sergio Aguero put the two-time champions in front of the 19th minute, but that advantage barely lasted 4 minutes as Alfred Finnbogason equalized by netting Iceland's first ever goal in the World Cup finals. Messi then had the chance to put Argentina back in front, but saw his penalty denied as Iceland held on for a historic point in their Group D opener. Meanwhile, France clawed out a 2-1 win over Australia in their Group C opener after a goalless first half. The 1998 champions took the lead through a penalty in the 58th minute that was given with the video-assistant referee. But within 4 minutes, Australia drew level through a penalty of their own that skipper Mele Yedina converted. But France continued to press and managed to get all 3 points as Paul Pogba netted the winner with 10 minutes remaining. In the other Group C clash on the day, Denmark dampened Peru's return to the big stage after a 36-year hiatus with a narrow 1-0 win at Saransk. Yusuf Poulsen netted the only goal of the match at the hour mark to secure all 3 points for the Danes. In the late fixture on Saturday night, Croatia moved to the top of the standings with a comfortable 2-0 win over Nigeria. An unfortunate own goal from Oge Nikaruetabo at the half-hour mark, coupled with a second-half penalty from Luka Modric, helped secure all 3 points against the Super Eagles. The action shifts to Group 2. New groups on Sunday from Group E. 5-time champions Brazil take on Switzerland in Rostov. Brazil are hunting for a 6th world title and seem to be rejuvenated since the appointment of Chiche as head coach 2 years ago. The Selic Chow have won a staggering 17 of their last 21 matches under the 57-year-old, losing just one friendly encounter. Reigning champions Germany to get their World Cup campaign underway from Group F. They take on Mexico at the Luzhniki Stadium in Moscow. Germany's preparations for the competition have been shaky, but the four-time champions ensured a perfect run in the qualifiers by becoming only the second team to win all their matches. The earlier kickoff on the day takes place from Group E, where Costa Rica battle it out with Serbia at Samara. The Central American side were the surprise performers at the last World Cup that saw them go all the way up to the quarter-finals. World cricket has been rocked by another ball tampering scandal after Sri Lanka were charged by the on-field umpires of altering the condition of the ball in the St. Lucia test against West Indies. Play was delayed for more than an hour as Lankans refused to take the field after West Indies were awarded 5 penalty runs and the ball was changed. Sri Lanka, though, have denied any wrongdoing.